Look, there is one theory which says that inflation is everywhere and always a monetary phenomena. You might have listened to this phrase. This is due to Milton Friedman. The Friedman's view is the inflation is a function of only monetary variable, which are money supply and interest rate. Right? So there is another theory which says that inflation is a function of GDP. If you are trying to increase your GDP, there will be inflation. This is called Phillips curve theory. And then there is another theory which says that inflation is a function of import value index and exchange rate. Import value index and exchange rate. It's also making sense because see, this time the inflation is happening in entire globe, and because of the factors which are related to supply of oils. So the global oil supply, this will determine the import value index, and then exchange rate. These two variables are playing role to determine the level of inflation, right? Now, if I want to make a model for inflation, which of these three theories should I adopt? किस पे जाएं? If I bet on one theory, the others are ignored. What I should do, I should write a general model containing all these variables, and then I can test the restrictions, and then the restrictions will tell me where to go. Right? So you can write a model like this: pi t is equal to, let me write it smoothly, alpha naught plus alpha 1 pi t minus 1 plus alpha 2, and here you have money supply t, plus alpha 3, here you have money supply t minus 1, plus you have alpha 4 and interest rate, plus alpha 5, and you have interest rate lag, plus in similar way you are continuing with this alpha 6 into yt plus alpha 7 into yt minus 1 plus up to so on IVI and exchange rate. Now what will happen? I can test the blocks. Suppose I am testing this thing, alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, alpha 4, and I am testing this hypothesis and testing this for 0. Suppose I found this restriction to be valid, import value index. Suppose I am testing this restriction and I am finding that this is combinedly 0. What will this mean? This means money supply, lag money supply, interest rate and lag of interest rate, all of these terms are 0. The coefficient of all of these is 0. So this means the monetary phenomena in this case is not working. Inflation is no more monetary phenomena. Right? And suppose we are finding that the coefficient, this coefficient alpha 6 and alpha 7 are 0. What does this mean? This means there is no Phillips curve effect. The data that we are considering is containing no Phillips curve effect. All right? So this is more appropriate way to do the analysis. And ultimately, we will get a parsimonious model, relatively small model, which will give me good predictions, but the derivation is in such a way that it is free of bias. There is no priori bias introduced by us in the model. Right? This is something which you will not find in any textbook of econometrics. Basically, except the Charamja and there are some one or two more books. But usually what we are studying in Pakistan is not spanning around those books. These concepts are important, but these are frequently ignored. Just like I have given you example, if you ignore the amount of yogurt and you are just wanting to see the relationship between spices and taste, you will not find good results. If you are to determine what the effect of this variable is, then you have to take the account of all the variables that are determining the value of y. The people term this as control variables. You have to put a control on each and every variable which is determining the value of y. If you are ignoring any control variable, then the study might be biased. Basically what happens, suppose you have no control on this, you don't have taken accounting of the amount of yogurt. Suppose the yogurt remain fixed, amount of yogurt to be used remain fixed, then you can find the relationship between taste and spices. But you don't have any accounting, someone has made a mistake and suddenly the yogurt was tripled, then the relationship will not remain same. So the coefficient that you will find would be biased. And same is happening with everywhere, every phenomena. If you are, for example, going to determine the determinants of education, educational achievement, there are say 10 theories, each trying to explain the education. What you have to do, you cannot ignore any of all these theories. If you ignore, this will introduce bias. This is just like saying, I have given one example yesterday. Suppose the task assigned to you is to see the relationship of gender with IQ level, gender and IQ level. You have 200 points of data, 100 points are female students and average score is 80. Then you have 100 male students and the average score is 50. The job is very simple, you will say the female are smarter. But someone is telling you that the data that you have taken, the female students are taken from say Lahore Grammar School and the data for male student is taken from Kohistan, from some primary school in Kohistan. Is this information relevant or not? After this information, can you claim that female are smarter? No. But suppose the researcher is saying that this is not part of my analysis. My question is only about gender and the educational achievement. I have no concern with school type. Would you accept this argument? In a similar way, there are many things which are not part of your fundamental question that you want to address, but because these are determining the dependent variable, you have to take account of all these. Suppose your task is to see the effect of taxes on exports, right? You cannot run a regression of taxes and exports only. There are so many determinants of exports. You have to survey all those theories, and you have to adopt some kind of methodology which is taking into account all those theories, and then you have to simplify, and then you will test the restrictions, and ultimately you will come to some kind of model. And this is the thing which you will learn only in this workshop. Otherwise, in Pakistan there is no trend of discussing these things. Not in Pakistan, this is happening worldwide. Okay, so with this हमारे पास कितना time है अभी? पूरा हो गया? अच्छा. Any question? Non-linear ARDL. Yes. Probably we will not go into non-linear ARDL. We will learn the ARDL co-integration, but not the non-linear.